Hello, everyone, and welcome to our second F1 Driver Tier List podcast, the 2025 edition, if you will. I will hand over to when we actually did the podcast in a minute, but just before I begin, I will apologise for the audio, especially mine, which isn't as good as usual because I forgot to connect my proper microphone setup. So instead, the audio from myself is actually coming from my inbuilt laptop mic, which isn't quite as good. So, sorry about that. However, feel free to share your thoughts on your F1 driver rankings in the comment section, and we hope that you enjoy the podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast of, in this case, the most 100% accurate 2025 F1 driver tier list there will ever be. No ifs, no buts, no questions asked. This is 100% accurate, honest. Well, actually, no, we'll see by the end results of this. Joining me, Tie-Dye, as always, with these podcasts, I'll introduce them. Lombo, say hi.
Hello.
And Steph, you can say hi as well if you wish.
Hi, everyone.
Excellent. Yeah, but I think it's. I mean, if you saw the last year's version, I think you all should know how this works by now. I say that.
I don't even remember how it works, and I did it last year. So.
Oh, okay.
And you're assuming that this is. You say it's the best list, but we don't even know if all three of us are going to agree on anything.
Well, that's the beauty of it. This is what's going to make it more superior over every other tier list that you'll see on the internet. And also compared again for those who did see last year's, or actually no, to be fair, if this is your first of the tier list podcasts, unlike last year's. Like last year's, I guess unlike other F1 driver tier list stuff that is out there, that's probably what I was trying to say originally. But anyway, we're doing the practice drivers as well. It won't be very long, admittedly, especially not compared to last year, where I think we kind of took quite a lot of time for what was mostly nonsense, but it just adds another element to it. But anyway, if you see. As you can see on the screen, we go from A to F on the driver tier list front, and they're all based on basically all the cars that represent each respective ranking is based on what, at least in my opinion, ranks as livery wise. So I mean, obviously the Manor is the goated one. Then we have the Spiker from 2007, well, the only Spiker F1 car. Then the 99 Minardi, Caterham CT03, and then you go from there. I think that's basically all the ground rules kind of set up. I think we'll begin, and I guess we'll begin. Well, I think unlike last year, I've decided that maybe the best thing to do is we'll start with what at least I thought would be, in my opinion, the more obvious one, given that if someone is a world champion, you'd expect them to be in A, and in my head, I am still leaning towards A. But yeah, we'll see how everyone else feels, and see if we end up with a scenario where there's a bit of a contentious call here with the rest of the viewers. But anyway, the first one is
who is going to make the contentious call.
Well, we'll start making the call. I mean,
we'll see.
Okay.
In terms of the stats I've got here, Lando Norris, obviously the first driver here, scored 423 points across the year with 7 victories, with an average finish of 4.25. Okay. Look, he was a champion, and I think he is. I think in almost. Automatically, you kind of have to put him in A, and has certainly the second half of this year certainly showed a lot of champion level drives. I think certainly America and Mexico were very and Brazil as well. I basically saw the American kind of swing, the American triple header, if you will, even though it wasn't actually a triple header in the calendar. But that little section, I don't think there's anything you could fault him on those 3 occasions. But there were times throughout the year which, I mean, they were not. he didn't show the champion level performance, at least in my mind, anyway. So
I think that goes for everybody, though.
True, but I would say that like, okay, how can I put this? There are every person who wins an F1 World Championship is first off a great driver, but secondly, like they're always, you're always deserving of a title, and I think I'll get that down at the start. But I will say that there are still better there are better championship performances compared to others. I mean, like I'd say, you could say Hakkinen's 1998 championship was better than his 99 performance, where the McLaren was arguably a reasonable bit better than the Ferrari of that same year, but he had some not so good sort of issues. Let's say, particularly at San Marino and Imola. That was the same race. So with San Marino and Monza, there we go. They're which slightly not great errors. Let's put it that way. And so what I'm trying to say is, you're always the deserving. There's never an undeserving champion, but there are more. Like it still doesn't mean that.
Contest that one.
Well,
undeserving champions do exist.
Already disagreeing on the very first point without even ranking anyone.
We're not even talking about Lando Norris. Well, indirectly we are, but it's not actually. Look, okay, let's just focus on Lando Norris before we get sidetracked any further. Okay, in my opinion, he is an A. I wouldn't say he's the best. He's definitely not been, in my opinion, the best driver over the course of this year. I'll just say that.
I think he was a good qualifier, though, which is kind of all you need.
Yeah, well, I mean, yes, I would. Yeah, I would. That was his.
McLaren was is kind of inconsistent too in qualifying. Well, it's just an inconsistent car. I don't think the McLaren was ever as good as people said it was. It was good at some tracks, but it wasn't like world dominatingly good all the time. I don't know. It wasn't exactly like a cheat code or anything. They still had to drive the car.
No. I mean, I think we could. I would definitely. The 2023 Red Bull, I think, we can say, was one of the most, the best F1 cars there's ever been produced, and no other car that year was comparatively close on 90% of occasions. Singapore seemed to be the only outlier. I would definitely agree on that. I'll put it this way: even though the McLaren was better mostly across the year compared to its competitors, I'll put it this way: Lando, or maybe I could say to us, you could say this for any, both of the McLaren drivers, in my opinion. You think that they could have wrapped up the title sooner than they ended up doing on the driver front. I mean, obviously in the constructors, yes, they clinched it at Singapore, which is very early. But even in terms of the driver front, it was, it didn't need to be as uncomfortable.
Undoubtedly, they could have, but they didn't want to, and I kind of respect it. I respect how complicated they made their lives by trying to sort out what is fair and stuff like that, because I don't think something like that is like just never been done, really. And no one has ever tried that. No one has ever actually like genuinely tried. While I don't agree that they succeeded, and many times there were instances when it wasn't fair, but that's just how it is, and people were trying to make the best decisions they could at the time. So I don't know.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I respect it.
They were definitely trying their hardest. It's fair. Just in my opinion, Lando was not the best driver over the course of this year, in my opinion. But certainly, he definitely deserved, definitely a deserving champion, in my opinion, anyway. But I wonder what Steph has to say on all of this. Does he concur, or is there some conjecture? Not sure if that rhymes, but anyway.
He should be in C. His championship is about as valuable as Joey Logano's 3 championships.
Oh dear.
Like, I
Oh
put him
dear.
in like only solely based on Zach Brown's radio message. I'd like to put him in F. We're not taking that into consideration. I'll put him in C.
Well, I mean, Lando didn't really have much choice on Zach Brown's world champion hotline quote.
Oh, but it was god awful. I mean, come on. I put him in practice drivers for this.
Oh dear. Right. Well. Okay. I mean, okay. I will say that. Okay, if we balance out me and Lombo's A and Steph's C, we'll balance it out and say it's an A minus. So it's A minus. There will be people who will go above Lando. Okay.
B plus. It's a nice spiker orange. You know, it fits his car.
Well, I mean, well, maybe. Moving on. Next up, we have oh, who is it? Oliver Behrman. Oliver Behrman.
Okay.
High C or low B. Just putting it out there.
Oh, blimey! I haven't even. I mean,
I think that's
I don't feel he was the most impressive rookie, so I'm not sure if he's warranted a B.
no.
For sure,
No.
high C.
Okay. But I mean,
I think that's
yeah,
fair.
I mean, I wouldn't disagree with that. I will do as I normally do, which is go over the stats. 41 points, no wins. Average finish of 11.479. Best finish of 4th, which was at Mexico. I'll be honest, yeah. I think high C or a low spiker, and I think that's about right. I would agree with you. Not the most impressive rookie this season.
One great race for sure.
Yeah,
Ray did
I mean,
really well in Mexico, but
yeah. I mean, it was I think certainly the start of the year he seemed to just sort of, just need a little time to sort of bed himself back in. I mean, his Australia weekend was not great. I think
so was a lot of people's.
Well, true, but I think Behrman had, I think out of the 3 practice sessions, I think he kind of effectively missed 2 of them, or 2.5, because he crashed midway through the. Where was it? Oh no, he definitely didn't have a great. I think he had some moments and a fair few moments that did punish his Australia weekend, but yeah, he definitely certainly towards the midpoint and I guess the end of the year he did have his strong performances. So here for now, or do we want to?
Let's go for C. Yeah,
We can.
We can change things later if we change our mind.
Yeah, I was gonna say we can chop and change. Right, who we got next? Alex Albon. Now I've got to change the pages to find the stats for him that I wrote down. Right, here we go.
I'm not gonna lie, I feel like we should be doing this in like reverse championship order or something. But anyway, this is fine.
I just did it in a random. We did it the same last year, just a random order. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just right. Alex Albon, number 73 points, no wins, a best finish of 5th, and an average finish of 11.04. He had an impressive start to the year, but he kind of waned off a little bit, it seemed, towards the end. I don't know. It's always hard when there's so few drivers because there's nothing to compare it to. But I like his start of the year was at least low A or high B worthy, but
he was the highest scoring Williams driver, wasn't he? I think.
Yes.
Do I remember correctly? Yeah.
Yes, but it was really close.
9 points between the 2 Williams drivers, and Albon was ahead by 9. Yeah, 73 to 64 points. Yeah. But then I think the thing that favors. Okay. Well, no. Okay. We'll say Sainz's podiums maybe reflect. They maybe always give this sort of better impression results wise compared to. I mean, yeah, he definitely had his great drives Albon this year. Certainly towards the end, though. He did seem a little more invisible towards the latter part of the year. So I think,
Yeah, he had a better start, so it's always difficult when someone has a better start because I always feel like recency bias makes some people seem better than others.
that is
Because we just
true.
because we just have a stronger memory of how good they did. But
That is true. Okay, maybe.
I don't know if I don't think he would. I don't think I would put him B. I still think he's probably a C. But
Yeah, but for
Yeah.
sure ahead of Behrman. That's
Okay. Yeah. No, okay. I think that seems that does seem about right because I mean the recency bias is definitely a thing, but I don't know. Certainly his start to the year was, I think, I guess, discreetly impressive. I would say, like, because the thing is, his best finish of the year was fifth, and there are so many people who have had, like their best finishes of the year have been higher than, there's been many drivers like Sainz and Hulkenberg and Hadjar who've had podiums this year, which maybe reflect better, but they're lower than him on championship standings. And I guess if you want to say it in another way, he is the best non-top four, like he's the best non-Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari, and McLaren driver, or like of the unofficial Formula 1.5 class. He is technically the best of that. So, I mean, okay, yeah, I think that's fair.
I guess it speaks more to consistency then, right?
Yeah, and actually, I think thinking about it, if I recall correctly, I think whilst he did seem a little bit less good towards the end of the year, I think there were some. I think he did have a few retirements through mechanical issues, which I don't think helped his cause. So I think maybe that's something to consider on that one as well. So yeah, okay. I think C's fair. High C is for the moment seems about right. Max Verstappen. The stats for him are 421 points with 8 victories, the most of anyone this year. A best finish of first, and his average finish I've calculated is 3.66. Also, just to clarify, the average finish thing doesn't include the sprints. It just includes the main Grand Prix. In case people at home were wondering. But yeah, I mean, to me, he has been the best driver this year. The only exception being the moment at Barcelona and a spin. But yeah, maybe I guess you could say an unforced error of sorts with the Silverstone spin. But other than that, I don't recall many other driving errors that he's made this year, and he's just been the most consistent. And he won his Nürburgring race, so which obviously has to factor into this.
There was like no competition in that race. Hardly any.
Just ignore that, all right? Let's just ignore. And also, hey, don't disrespect Frank Stippler. He's still got it. He's still got it.
He does. He does. He still got it. But come on,
it's Stippy at the ring. I mean, you can't.
I know, but it's like supposedly the best driver in the world who's done like. It's like, come on.
Well, I thought it was impressive at least anyway. But oh well. Anyway,
A++, best in the world, best there is. Easy.
Okay, sure.
No further comment.
I would agree, except I am ranking him F because of the moment in Barcelona, which I consider unforgivable as a driver, especially a driver who's been in F1 for more than a decade. To ram another car is an unforgivable offense. And also, if he hadn't have done that, he would be champion now. Because he gave up points there. And of course, you can argue, the McLaren would have changed the results had there, had been a serious championship challenge. If he didn't do that, there's only 2 points
at Monza.
they pulled, but especially for a driver of that caliber. I consider that unforgivable. If we exclude everything, if we exclude that, then absolutely I agree. He was, the best driver of the season. But I do not.
You want to put Norris in A, and you can't put it anywhere. Well, it should be off the scale at this point.
Contention, yay!
I love it.
Oh,
Throw the
this is
grenade into the.
yeah. This is how you audience at home. This is how you wanted it, isn't it? Oh well, okay. Well, I mean, if we average out the F, then we'll.
No,
No, we're not. We're keeping him here. We'll keep him here.
I guess
Alright.
we will keep him there for now. Although I would rank him behind Norris.
Well,
Season of
if we're averaging it out.
No.
That's
Then
how
I'm not. You can rank the stuff by yourself.
Ooh.
Right, next up, Lance Stroll. 33 points this year, no wins, an average finish of 13.95, and a best finish of 6th. I think he got 6th. I think he got 6th a few times. I was just gonna say that he, during the wet races this year, he wasn't actually that bad and had some good.
But that's
finishes.
always been the case with Stroll. Unfortunately, it doesn't rain on every race. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, you never know. Like maybe Mother Nature decides that could happen next year. Who knows?
Well, unfortunately, he wasn't born in the Bernie Sprinkler multiverse era. So,
well, okay. I will say that I think his performance. I think he was a bit better than how he was last year, but I would. Okay, I'll look. I will say high E. We'll leave it at. We'll just leave it at that. For Stroll, who we got next? Charles Leclerc, who has stat-wise, where has it gone? 242 points with no wins, an average finish of 6.83, and a best finish of 2nd a few times this year, Mexico and Monaco, I believe. I mean, surely he's got to be an A, right? It's that Ferrari was.
Stroll's the clerk.
Yeah, let's put him there.
Yeah.
It's the car was like garbage. So,
Yeah.
For a top tier car, anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and he
Especially
somehow
in the latter half.
Oh yeah, and he did. He dragged some amazing results out of that thing, and did the. I mean, I would say him and Verstappen right now are operating at an exceptionally high level, but Verstappen, well, he seems to be getting his car has been better for the past few years, and Charles just hasn't had something to consistently compete with him. It's look. He's doing a great job. I think we're all in consensus that an A and a high A is the fairest thing for that. So I think we will skedaddle over to our next driver, who is Isaac Hadjar. Let me find the stats again. I did not organise my sheet of stats very well. This is great. Isaac Hadjar, there we go. 51 points, no wins, best finish of 3rd, with an average finish of 11.79. I would say high B or low A for me.
He definitely fell off in the last part of the season, but that could also be the car as well. So
I don't like his attitude. Put him in C.
We can't just. This is meant to be how they drive on the track, not.
Yeah, and how they act and communicate with their engineers is part of how they drive on the track.
Well,
I don't like his attitude.
Okay, well, I mean, okay, well, look, given what I've heard, I think B is perhaps the fairest place. We'll slide on over to Gabriel Bortoleto, who, and the stats for him are upside down, so let me just change that. There we go. Yes, Bortoleto, 19 points. Is that right? I could have sworn he got more. Oh well. Anyway, I've got down here 19 points, with no wins, a best finish of 6th. I think that was at Hungary, and an average finish of 14.25. This is I really don't know what to say about him because he had his bright moments this year,
Mhm.
but there were. I mean, he kind of showed sort of like understandable rookie errors towards the beginning of the year. I mean, his crash at Brazil was the biggest of the year. I would say low. He's definitely lower than Behrman in my mind. But
I found a difficult one because he just
Mhm.
feels a bit invisible most of the time, to me at least.
yeah,
He seemed like he had decent qualifying, and then
Yeah, that's
usually
true,
Hulk
actually.
would have Hulk would have a good qualifying or terrible qualifying, but then Hulk would usually do better in the actual race. But
yeah.
um,
Uh,
but he did have some good performances, so yeah, he is a difficult one to rank.
he's definitely lower than Behrman in my mind. But maybe I should have put him towards the end of the drivers because we might have. Because again, whilst we're in this sort of, we're not halfway through yet. Whilst we're at this point, that we're just sort of, if we have more reference, we might think, well, if we put that person there, then Bortoleto belongs here. But other than saying, yeah, he was worse than Behrman, there isn't really because who in our mind has had a D tier season. So we'll get to that
Guess
when we
we'll
get
find
to it.
out.
But yeah, so okay, we'll leave Bortoleto for C minus for now. We'll leave him at 1999 Minardi MO1. Right, next. I tell you what, I really should have organised this stat sheet better because I've now got to go back a few pages to George Russell. No, that's still the wrong page. This is the correct page. Here we go. George Russell, 319 points with 2 wins, therefore best finisher first. His average finish, 4.54. He had a very consistent year, did George. I mean, I would say low A personally. There wasn't really Monaco was maybe not the best, but other than that, I don't think he had. There was okay, maybe Britain, but then that was through. His result wasn't good because the strategy didn't really give him
Mhm.
that. So
I'd probably rank him above Charles. I got to be honest. I thought he did really well considering the car was just sort of
He was consistent. I
meh.
mean,
He was really consistent,
yeah.
and I felt like he really always got the most he could out of the car. So
I think one of the main things was turning into Max in Barcelona. I don't think that was great, but
no, I see.
you can see where this is. I think you can tell, audience, by how this has gone, that where the allegiances kind of lie at the moment. It's it's
leave that one. That was so on the table. I had to do it.
honestly, man, this is just something. But I think that's a good position for him. And he did nearly not quite a perfect season, but you'll never ever get that. So it was brilliant on the most part. And given the car he had, I don't think there's much more he really could have done that year. So I think that's about fair. I think I'm glad that we kind of all were on a consensus with this one because if I recall correctly, last year with George Russell, we were all rather we did have very different views on that. But no, but no, we'll move that. That's good. Right, next, Pierre Gasly, 22 points for the Alpine driver with no wins, a best finish of 6th, and an average finish of 14.58. I'll be honest, whilst it doesn't really reflect in any of the stats that I've said and what the championship looks like and the results he got, I think he drove really well this year. I mean, see, this is the thing. Like, is he better? Is he better than Albon? I don't know if he was better than like.
Difficult to say because the car was just
Really
so,
difficult. Yeah, the
Yeah.
car's so terrible. It's like
and there's
so
no
difficult
real
to rank.
representation next to him in the second car, so it's
Yeah.
I don't know. I find it difficult to place Pierre.
No.
It's
If I put him here, it doesn't look right. It does it because I in my mind it
Who's that again? MB?
Hadjar.
Oh yeah, he has to be in front of Hedger for sure. But Hedger is too high, anyways.
I think it's one of those things where it's so difficult to rank someone because they really just never get highlighted
Yeah.
on the actual broadcasts. So you just kind of like have to remember, like, where they started, where they finished, and try to keep track of the race. And you just simply don't keep track of every midfielder's race, even if they had a really excellent race, unless they finished in a really standout position. You're just never going to remember that. So it's really hard to rank people like that.
Yeah, I think that's always. I mean, that is always. It's always the hard thing with him. I mean, to get 22 points. I mean, admittedly, like there was. I mean, it was. I think. Well, he had a sixth place, which I think that was in Britain, which was the Wally Wet races that year. So, okay, look, we'll leave it at that for now. Right, well, I guess technically we're halfway through the real driver list, so I think what we'll do is we'll take a little break from the full-time drivers, and we're gonna trial this. I don't know how well this is going to go on the practice driver front, but last year we kind of submerged the practice drivers in with the full, like the racing pilots, which maybe wasn't the most realistic, because in the end, as a comparison, we put Felipe Dragovic in C, and he was two ranking sections ahead of Stroll, which I don't think is entirely representative. So the practice drivers had their own separate tier. I think what we'll do differently is, instead of ranking, because okay, let's just be frankly honest, and this is not a bad thing, and this is a very justifiable thing to not take much note of the practice drivers from this season, but we're just doing it for the memes. But I think what we'll do is we'll get all the practice drivers and we'll rank them, but with the exception of one, which I think if you know who's driving next year, you can probably guess who that person probably will be. But I mean, do you know what? Look, let's just cut to the chase. Arvid Lindblad goes in here because he's a practice driver who's going to be racing next year and won't count for the practice driver section, which I'm going to base our ranking on what sort of, if they were in F1, like basically out of all the practice drivers, who do we think would be the most exciting, or who would we like to see most in F1 out of all the practice drivers who have been a practice driver, basically. And to make sure we don't last...
Who is the most practice driver of them all?
Yes.
The practice driver to end all practice drivers.
Exactly. So
the most practiced of drivers.
Yes.
Vote for Pedro de la Rosa on this one.
But to make sure we don't last too long doing this, I'm just going to get my phone and I'm going to time ourselves. I don't know.
You're just going to put a countdown, just like we only have 60 seconds to run.
Well, I was about to say 5 minutes, but is 5 minutes too much? I was going to say 5. Like, okay, do we want to? Should we say 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes, or a bit?
Yeah, good.
Right. So, are we ready to rank the practice drivers?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Sorry, I was expecting a yes or no. We need a break. Okay, right. Anyway, right. So our 2 minutes and 30 seconds begins in 3, 2, 1, and we're off. Right. Okay. First one. Pato Award. Where on this?
First, best one. Easy.
Okay,
it's probably the most interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Jack Crawford, who did some sessions for Aston Martin. I think he finished second.
He's second for now, so let's just put him second and rank the next one. Let's go.
Next one. Antonio Fuoco did Mexico City. I mean,
prefer to have him stay in the hypercars and everything.
yeah, okay,
Yeah,
that's good.
same.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Ryo Hirakawa, I mean, it's kind of like the same story,
Yeah,
I would
same.
say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Higher or below Antonio, or does it not matter?
Both
we'll
of those
put
shouldn't
him-
be there anyways. So.
They shouldn't be there. Let's just move on.
Okay. Victor Martins.
Above those, actually above Crawford
Okay, cool.
for me.
I was surprised to hear that, but no, that's good. Frederick Vesti.
Along
I
with
mean-
those three guys at the back.
Yeah,
Okay.
I prefer.
That's fair.
Maybe have him ahead of
Supercar.
whatever.
Okay. Oh, ahead of Hirakawa.
Yeah, it's
He's still very
more-
talented. But anyway, continue.
Okay. Arthur Leclerc.
Yeah, stay there. Stay in the GT.
Yeah,
cars.
I think that's
He's fine.
yeah. Ayumu Uwasa. I mean, I would be interested personally. I would.
Around the ST Crawford region, I'd say.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
With respect to Keen Shields, I think we'll just leave him at.
I don't
He
count
needs to
the-
show a little more.
I don't think he should count.
You shouldn't even rank. Or you shouldn't even rank. But let's go. Continue.
Look, Ralph Aaron, I would be intrigued to see how Ralph Aaron would get
He's
on. There
good.
was talk this year, but
He's good.
yeah,
I'll
above
give him that.
Pato or just below?
Nah, I gotta give Pato some credit here.
Yeah, I'll give Pato some credit.
Okay, Dino Bogdanovic,
Who?
Dino F2 driver, kind of middle of the pack in F2. Actually, no, he did
Yeah.
that quite a good.
Put him
year.
below
Okay,
Jack.
there we go. Alex Dunn. I mean, he's got to be towards the top here, surely.
Oh, yeah.
He had. Yeah. Okay. Luke Browning. I don't know how much time we've got left. My phone hasn't gone off yet.
Don't worry about it.
We'll have him
We'll go
around
here, him, and Felipe Jugovic.
there. Ooh.
He's a tough one because it's like he deserves a better drive, but he's not going to get one. So
That is who we want. Who would we like to see, isn't it?
it is.
I'm not sure if I'd like to see him more than Pato or
Yeah.
more than Dunn. I don't know. More than Dunn for sure. Although Dunn has
Okay,
his
let's put him
Dunn
second.
moments. So, yeah.
Okay. That's good.
I'd say the top 3,
Yeah.
4, maybe. For sure, I'd love to see. But
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's. I
Maybe
think
we
that's
rank. Maybe we
fine.
rank Jack a little bit low. Maybe.
I'm just
Uh,
not too impressed by him.
He's not that impressive, but I don't know. Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
we're fine. Maybe we probably ranked Rio a little bit high. but
Yeah.
it's fine.
Also, the timer thing completely failed because whilst I was concentrating on that, my phone went off and the time stopped. So,
I see.
so,
So we'll
I
never
don't know
know
if that
how
was
long
too
we
long.
actually took.
yeah, I don't actually know if we did take 2.5 minutes. It paused at 1 minute 55
Post-production will
seconds.
tell us. So
It's fine.
Yeah,
The comments will tell us.
I was
how
going to
long we
say
took.
we'll see how much that worked, but yeah. And with that, back to the main stuff at hand. And who's next? Oh, right. Okay, right. Lewis Hamilton. Right. Where are the stats for him? Oh, 156 points for Lewis. No wins, a best finish of 4th, and an average finish of. I mean, I've put 10.29. I don't know if that seems high, but well,
it
maybe.
feels about right. I don't know.
Just for those who wonder how I come to that, I've already said about the lack of sprint races, and that doesn't get taken into account. For the reference of like disqualifications, instead of like basically, I just anyone who's disqualified or what was in Stroll's case did not even start the Spanish Grand Prix. I just automatically gave them 20, so I just added 20 to the figure, and then depending on how many races the driver did that year, because some didn't do the full season, then I just did that and then divided the number of races. That was basically how I came to that figure. So yeah, but according to that, it's 10.29. But in terms of Lewis's actual year, stats aside, I mean, there was the sprint race win in China, but just as a whole, it was just not very good to watch.
No.
Which I mean, I don't know. I think D's being. I think
Why
D's
does
about.
D already feels too high to me? Like I was considering D as well, but it already seems somewhat high.
I don't think so. I mean, I think I feel for him. I think the car is not good. I think the team is just not gelling with him at all. But yeah, certainly his performances were also not good. And I feel like D is probably okay. It's tough to
Yeah,
rank because I just think he's like suffering so much from.
yeah. There were like there were moments where he was level or a tiny bit better than Leclerc. I mean, not in Silverstone is not a surprise given that he loves that track. He was comparable at Mexico as well. The race result didn't reflect that, but his actual drive was pretty good on the most part there. And yeah, the sprint. I don't know how much. I don't really count sprint races in terms of a driver's performance all that much, really. But like, I don't know. It just wasn't. It was not a great year to watch, is it? Like irrespective of whether you're a fan of Lewis or you were bored during his era of domination. Like irrespective, it's not great to see someone who has got so much talent just seemingly just suddenly not seem to have the answers or whatever. I mean, yeah, there are many circumstances around it, but it was like certainly just comparing Leclerc and Hamilton's season. I wasn't expecting Hamilton to match Charles certainly for
No.
the first year, but I was expecting a little better. But
Yeah,
let's just put it that way.
it was pretty
Um,
disappointing.
Caterham season, or specifically 2013 Caterham CT03 season for Lewis. And we'll move on to, I think that's Liam Lawson. Stats for Liam Lawson: 38 points, 0 wins, a best finish of 5th, and the average finish being 12.79. I mean, look, his season at Red Bull was let's just forget about it, really. It was not great and was only 2 races. But in terms of his drives at RB, it's either a low C or a high Caterham.
His career Rebel was so brief that you struggle to remember it ever happened.
There were points that there were certainly towards the latter part of this year. I did forget that happened. It was, yeah. I mean, I guess you could comparatively say, considering his how things turned out at Red Bull, that he saw it was. I'm not gonna say rescued, but he kind of regained a sort of. He regained enough of a level to the point of where you think, yeah, no, he did, but he should be back next year and see how he fares and so on. I mean,
I guess.
I think like there were the odd bright spark, but I guess on the most part it was a fairly. I mean, certainly if you compare to Isaac, there was like Isaac was comfortably better than Liam throughout most of the year. There was the odd exception, but that in some ways is bound to happen. I think a high D or a low C is fair, but we will leave him in Caterham in that case. Right, who have we got next? Fernando Alonso. And I don't need to change pages, which is good. 56 points with no wins, a best finish of 5th, and an average finish of. I did get the calculation wrong originally, so the writing is not very clear. But yes, so that says 11.87 as an average finish, and I think that is correct. I mean, the start of the year was plagued by mechanical issues. He did have that accident in Australia, but I mean, I think it's still a B-worthy season, right? Or maybe or C or
Somewhere in there. I don't know.
Problem is I can't remember one of those special Alonso drives.
I think that car was just not good enough for even a special Alonso drive.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe.
I think in the if he had because Stroll in Britain had a quite good strategy with how the weather and the track conditions played out, and Alonso I don't think was as he didn't get quite the same.
He did have unforced errors, but I think he was just driving the hell out of the car, and I'm more forgiving of people who drive the hell out of the car and make a mistake doing it, I guess, than people who just make a mistake otherwise.
I think that's fair. I mean, I just personally, if I'm to base his whole season ranking on just that 360 spin in Qatar alone, I'd actually put him here because that was really snazzy. But if I'm gonna say but then I guess it was kind of similar to Albon's, but I guess
Yeah.
similar in the other way in that is like the end of the year was quite good, but the start of the year was. But then the start, like Alonso did have the start of the year and some mechanical issues, and to be fair, like I think Italy as well, he had didn't he? I think in
It
Italy
was
he had
incredibly
a suspension.
inconsistent. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There.
Somewhere there, I guess. I don't know.
There we go. We'll leave it at that. Carlos Sainz. Where's the stats for him?
I guess the question. I think we just go before or after Albon.
Yeah, I think that's yeah.
I think we have to go. I think I would put him ahead.
Yeah, I
By virtue of him having to adapt to a new car and everything.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. Yes.
yeah.
He struggled at the beginning of the year as well. You could see
He did, for sure.
He wasn't really where he wanted to be, but for sure by the end of the year he came through. So
Yeah, I would.
Ahead of Alonso.
I think.
yeah,
I think so.
I think it's deserved ahead of Alonso.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I think. Yeah. I mean, I would. I think I'd agree on that. 64 points for Carlos, no wins, best finish of third, and an average finish of 12.16. Which actually, to be fair, if we compare it to Albon's 12.16 for Carlos, 11.04 for Alex, I think it was just more that Sainz was just more out of the points compared to Albon throughout this year. But I mean, I don't know. I go with that. I think that's fair. I mean, yeah, he was lower in the standings, but actually, when he did get towards the end of the year, when he was in the right place, the right time, and he made the most of the opportunities. So I think that's I think that's about right. Who's that one? Okay, right, okay. Jack Doohan is next. Only did 6 races for the Alpine team, and his stats look like this. No points, no wins, best finish of 13th, and the average finish is 16.33, which is the lowest, maybe unsurprisingly, but yeah, it is the lowest out of all the drivers who raced this year. I mean, look, I think we can say that his year, okay, whilst short, whilst he was in the seat, it didn't. There wasn't really anything to sort of shout home about or say that yeah, it was a great. Like he didn't put his name out there, so to speak. But then I maybe would have given him a little more time than he ended up having. But
yeah, I'd say he was treated very harshly. I mean, it didn't feel like he was doing that bad of a job, considering everything.
Obviously, Liam got dropped, but at least he continued driving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I put him in E, it's not to necessarily say that he was totally dreadful, but it was, and especially if you compared it to P. But then I know he was his teammate, but is Pierre really a completely fair comparison given Pierre's far greater F1 experience and Jack just sort of, I guess, I guess I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think
It was
it's more of a we didn't even really have a chance to have an accurate viewing of how good or bad he really is. So it's kind of hard to rank someone when you really have no idea. Not enough data.
yeah. I think that's about fair. I think that's about fair. I mean, it's. I guess it's just the harsh realities of it, and also if I like, and again as a separate side thing, if I was to rank it on, I desperately feel sorry for this guy. If we look at his super formula testing recently, I feel very sorry. I mean, I would put him here on that level because having 3 incidents in the same corner. I mean, that is all. Like after the 3rd accident, I can't imagine how. Like you must, the feeling inside you, I don't want to comprehend, frankly. But yeah, look, yeah, not enough data, but I think that's what from what we did see, it was. Well, I think. Look, I think we'd like to see him more, but from the time he was there, that seems about as fair as we can get, I guess. Right, who we got? I think it's Yuki Tsunoda next. Yuki Tsunoda's stats are 33 points with no wins, a best finish of 6th, and an average finish of 12.58. I really don't know what to say.
I'm gonna feel the worst about giving this ranking. I think. I don't know.
I really don't know. Like I said, I'm not entirely sure where to go with this because was his season over the course of it good? No, it just wasn't. Unfortunately, he has demonstrated in the Racing Bulls car, or all the various names it's gone through since he's been at that team. He's demonstrated that he is a F1 level driver, but
I don't know if it's either just not being able to adapt, or obviously Max has had a lot more experience in the characteristics of that car. So he knows them backwards and forwards. And obviously it's a really difficult car to drive for a lot of people, not just Yuki. Yeah. I don't know.
It's a shame.
I'll feel the worst about this ranking, but yeah, you kind of have to put him in like E or F, or I don't know.
I'll say here. I think it's
okay.
Yeah, I don't think that he's better than what his Red Bull stint has shown, but you can't just ignore
Apparently
that.
Not. Yeah,
So yeah. Right. Who we got? How many got? We got. Okay, we've got 5 more drivers next. I think it's Esteban Ocon who's next, and his stats read like this: 38 points with no wins, a best finish of 5th, and an average finish of 12.50. This is about the perfect inconsistent season, I think, out of all the drivers here, because sometimes he was really good, sometimes he was just sort of he's there, and other times Behrman was fairly well ahead of him. So, I mean, D feels harsh, but
it's
then
either a low C or a high D because it's such a inconsistent season.
Yeah,
so it has to be somewhere in the middle.
I mean, okay, definitely lower than Behrman. How do I compare on the standard? So Behrman had 41 points to Ocon's 38, and they were Behrman 13th, Ocon 15th. Oh, actually, that seems about right. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Behrman looks
numbers-wise, sure.
Yeah, numbers-wise, looks similar. So, and I guess even though his was more inconsistent, I think that's about right. Okay. Next, yes, okay, right. Next up is Franco Colapinto, who now anyone who watched the ranking episode last year will know that I was fairly mystified at a low C ranking that we gave Franco. And
How
as
do we
much
feel
as
this year?
how I feel this year, unfortunately, I would say it would have to be lower this year.
Yeah.
And it's not. I mean, it's not because it's not because he's a bad driver. It's just that this year, I think the problem is he got in that car obviously without, hadn't driven it and so on. No, had no preseason testing and all that sort of thing to get him suited to it. And by the time he kind of got used to the car and how it drove and was sort of comparable to Pierre, that was when, like, I like the Alpine kind of had its peak performance wise at the middle point of the season, but as the year went on, it kind of, like Pierre was really struggling to get points, and so therefore by the time Franco was sort of comparable to Pierre, the car wasn't good enough to really give him an opportunity to get points. But in terms of actually how it was, I mean, I don't think E's too harsh, but then I would say personally, a low D is, I think, fair. A low Caterham is
I say you
about.
should probably be one place behind Doohan.
Behind Doohan? No, really?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
What were his stats? Because he didn't actually read
Let's
his stats.
do it.
What
Oh
were
yeah.
his stats?
Okay. The stats are no points, no wins, a best finish of 11th, which is 2 better than what Jack had in. Okay, less races, yes. His average finish for Franco 16.05, and Jack's was 16.33. So yeah, I mean, in the
Why was he brought
18.
into Alpine? Why was Jack replaced by Franco? To be better, to get points. Average finish is the same, scored the same amount of points, except that Jack had a third of the races. They put him behind Jack.
Let's do it.
All right, okay.
Audience is gonna love me for all of this, but
I was gonna say I'm not. I'm not fully aligned on that, but I'll let you have this. All right.
also, and if we are going to say, oh, the Alpine was so, it was the 4th last race of the season where Gasly still scored a point, Sao Paulo. So there was something in it.
Yeah.
Still good
All
points.
right then. Let's move on to Kimi Antonelli. Where is the stats for him? 150 points this year, no wins, a best finish of 2nd, and an average finish of 9.83. Ooh.
He's a tough one because he's pretty
this
inconsistent.
is a tough one.
He's in a really good car as well. Not really good, but like certainly better than most midfielders or rookies would have. So it's kind of like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would put him as B. He did have some good performances.
Yeah, I've seen some good stuff from him, but not quite.
We've seen a lot of rookie stuff from him too.
Yeah, that as well. So
no, because if I've been below Albon, then effectively, like, because as I like pick the drivers, I just try and remember certain performances that I may have missed, and I then think, oh well, actually, he had his podium in Las Vegas, considering considering where he started on the grid, and all that sort. Yes, I mean, yes, it was helped by 2 disqualifications. I get that, but well, actually, no, technically 1 because he was ahead of Piastri. But anyway, but yeah, there was that.
That feels good. It feels right-ish. I can accept it.
There we go. That's okay. Okay, yeah. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Right, next, Oscar Piastri is the second to last. 410 points for him. 7 wins, obviously best finished of first, and an average finish of 4.20. Okay, he's A, and I guess I would say he had a
Norris.
Yes. I would put him.
He is junior compared to Norris. Put up a fight, and had he not been by some McLaren antics, destroying his confidence as well, yeah, I'd say he was better.
I don't even know. I don't even think it really affected his confidence.
I'm sure it did.
I don't know.
He was not.
I
He
don't
was not
agree.
the same Piastri as we saw at the beginning and the mid part
I
of the season.
think I've seen significant things that suggest that that's more due to the characteristics of those tracks and not.
Either way,
You know,
the fact that he can be
inter-
on this level with so much less experience in F1,
for
for
me,
me,
yeah, like for
he's
me,
more of a
he's
racer.
like
Anyways, he's a proper
he-
racer.
I think I rank him really highly, but I mean, I would probably put him probably second for me. I would honestly put him rank him really highly as well. I definitely in the Bernie Collins camp where she ranked him first for the year, and I think it is grading on a curve because you have to remember, you know, like Max Verstappen has like 4 times as much F1 experience as he does. Even Norris has almost 3 times as much. Russell 3 times. Leclerc almost 4 times as well. You know, I think that experience counts for something. I think I can forgive Piastri for not being able to maybe have as much pace on some tracks or make a mistake. Those I've seen apparently the characteristics of those tracks combined with the McLaren car just didn't gel with him. You know, I can accept that. You know, he's still learning about the tires and how they work and everything. So to put up this good a performance, you know, in only his 3rd year of F1, I think is pretty remarkable.
The problem I'm trying to get in my head is, okay, I think over the course of this year, he has been better, and I would say that I guess he's had more champion-like drives, I would also say, across the year compared to Lando, but then obviously you have the aspect of, you know, when he was in that little, I guess that little rut, so to speak, they, you know, they were on tracks he hasn't, which I guess don't suit his style, so to speak. But then I guess there's always the case of, oh well, you should absolutely, you know, you should be good everywhere and so on. But I guess that takes time. But and then the undeniable thing of, well, the guy we're planning on putting the guy who came 16 points behind his championship rival, who ended up winning the title. We're going to put him ahead. I'm trying in my head to think, yes, this is a suitable thing that should do and will not irritate anybody.
Let's put it
I think
this
it'll
way.
irritate. I don't think that'll irritate that many people.
Yeah, and I mean, if you know, had F1 had playoffs, then it would have been correct.
Can we not? Let's not go into that. Okay,
Ooh,
let's not push that boat any more than we necessarily need to. If actually in hurrying on from that point, we are going to move very swiftly on to our final driver, which is Nico Hülkenberg. 51 points, no points, a best finish of 3rd, and an average finish of 12.79. This is I feel like this is really difficult because yes, there were good results. Spain was very good. Britain, of course, was very good, especially considering the circumstances, and especially if you listen to his team radio and given the amount of times he stuck to his gut and said, "No, I wouldn't. I think wet tires for the start of this is not too bad," and it turned out to be the right call. And yeah, I think that was that. But then there were races which I think, as you, Lombo, sort of said earlier, qualifying was quite inconsistent. He did have the odd invisible race, but they were few and far between. Okay, he's definitely better than Bortoleto. I'd say better than Behrman. Is he better than Albon? In my mind, I'm just thinking if we put Hülkenberg ahead of Albon, is it? Are we basing it just entirely on the fact that he has a podium and Albon doesn't, and that's one result alone sort of trumps every single thing that Albon's done. It
is another tough one to rank for sure.
yeah. I don't know if maybe is it because are there drivers now we're looking at it? Are there drivers who maybe we think maybe they should be in different sections or
Yeah, I'd say Norris is still a bit high.
well.
Also, you say bring playoffs back, and if that were true, then Norris would have won the championship last year. I think because he won the last race in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, he did. Yes, he did. Yes,
and Max wasn't even on the podium or anything.
Yeah, but we only needed playoffs this year.
We only need the playoffs this year.
only this year do we need it? Okay, right.
Could have gone for the chase as well. I mean,
yeah. So hold on. Think about. Are we going to say it like this in 2020, when Max Verstappen won the last race at Abu Dhabi? Are we saying that Max should have won with playoffs the 2020 title? Is that what you're trying to say?
no, well, nobody's talking
he's probably
about
okay with that.
You brought up 2020. I didn't.
Hulk in the Minardi section is yeah, I think that's all right. I think maybe not quite as good as Alonso. But Kimi did have some great. Now Kimi had some really good drives this year. He did have his rookie mistakes, yes, but then there like Hulkenberg had his few moments, but oh no, I'll leave it like that. I'll leave it like that. I guess before I and this is this will be the interesting bit, like the comparison to last year. Mm-hmm. Like, is there any before I say any of that? Is there any any other than Lando Norris? Is there any other sort of changes that either of you have in mind before we kind of, I guess, lock it? Well, not that there is a way to lock in, so to speak, but I guess any changes that you.
It feels more or less right, I guess. I don't know.
Hedger is still too high for my liking as well, but we already established that not everyone agrees with what I say here.
All right, then fine. There you go. Right. So. Right.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, I think that's good. In that case, we'll compare with last year's ranking, and then we'll see how. I guess this is to compare where we rank them here, and also slightly indirectly, compare how these drivers were to last year, just as a whole. But this is in order of how we ranked them last year in terms of, well, the ranking in terms of the letter that it is, and also just like from first to whatever. So last year, Verstappen was first with A. Piastri was second with A, which we've actually
we're very consistent.
Yeah, very consistent. Yeah, that's I guess where the similarities kind of end. There are we're not too far off with the next ones, but anyway, Norris had his own row, but was third, but below A and above B. Leclerc was fourth with B+, who we put ahead of Sainz, also in B+, with fifth. Sixth with B, Nico Hulkenberg.
I love that we ranked him worse this year, and he actually managed to get the podium.
He actually managed to get the podium.
He managed to get the podium, but we rank him worse.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nico, on that one.
Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, it was still probably fair.
I think that's about right, because yeah, I think with Haas, the Haas car was not that good last year, but he got even though he never got a podium, he was, I think, fairly consistently in the points, which I think was. I don't disagree with that, actually.
Yeah.
Gasly was a B with seventh overall. I mean, we put him sixth in this one, and is a B again, so I guess that's not too dissimilar. Russell was eighth with B. I mean, I guess
He was
Yeah.
better this year.
he was better. Yeah, I'd say. I mean, he had the same number of wins. What actually did he? No, he won at Austria. He won at Las Vegas. Did he win? No, I think that is right. Yeah, okay. I'm satisfied with that. Hamilton was ninth with C plus. I think given where he is this year, I think that's fair. Alonso was C plus as well with and was 10th overall. Where is he this one? 1, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, okay. So we've actually ranked him a tiny bit better this year. Sonoda was 11th and had a C. Again, I think where he is ranked this year, I think that's fairly fair. Ocon with C also, but was 12th. But to be fair, we only ranked Ocon realistically because of his Brazil result last year. So I think that's what saved him from getting probably a D or anything else. So I think that's fair. 13th last year with C also is Albon. So we ranked him. That's. I'm satisfied with that. 14th was Behrman because Behrman did 3 races last year. 14th for Behrman and was also a C. So, well, I mean, obviously Behrman did all the races this year. But I mean,
There's a stability in our ranking.
yeah, I think that's fair. Colapinto was C minus and was 15th, but I mean, whilst I'm not satisfied with last year, I'm content with this. Well, okay, maybe not E personally speaking, but there seems to be consensus from you two, so I will regrettably agree. Then Lawson was 16th last year and was D. Okay, also just to clarify, there were some drivers who were above certain drivers. So, for example, like Ricardo was on last year's list, and I think, well, he was below Lawson, I think, but he's on this. It's only ranking the drivers who have competed this year and last year. So there you go. But anyway, yeah, Lawson D plus and was 16th, and we actually give him exactly the same, which I think that's about fair. Stroll was 17th, E plus again. I think that's pretty similar. Doohan was E plus as well in 18th because he did do 1 race. And then Hadjar was practice only last year, but we ranked him as E. We ranked him as E minus despite that, using the old ranking system for us. Antonelli was also practice only, but we gave him an F. And then Bortoleto.
Oof.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Bortoleto was not on the list at all last year, so he's not applicable. But I think that's about fair with him. So, yeah. I think given that, yeah, I'm satisfied with all of this actually. I mean, we haven't got any drivers in F, but I think, well, actually, I mean, last year we had Logan Sargent and we had some practice shot, but I think the only actual racing driver last year in F was Sargent. Or do we have Perez in F as well? I didn't write that down, but we may have done. But other than that, I think
it wasn't too harsh.
I don't think we would have done that.
Nah,
Maybe the comments will remind us that we did.
yeah, maybe. I think so. But well, well. It's one of those things. But for those wondering at the start, if I was being totally 100% honest with the 100% accurate and most accurate Grand Prix tier list for the drivers this year, there was a tiny little bit of sarcasm. But anyway, no, I'm satisfied. I think that's not too bad. I mean, people in the comments, feel free to put what you think in terms of where you rank the drivers and what you do and how much you agree or disagree with us. I mean, it's up to you. I mean, we will look at your comments and we will. Well, I mean, some will have opinions, I'm sure, but yeah, I'm satisfied with this. Yeah, I don't think there's much, at least not much to say from my side. Any other bits on any other summaries from this tier list from either of you, or
No,
shall we
I'm
move
good.
on?
No.
Okay. Well, in that case, we will move very quickly on to the Van Gisbergen, which is not very. It's not going to last very long, this particular one, because given racing has ended. But this Van Gisbergen is, I guess, a comparison of some sort, and I'm just sort of intrigued as to what you both think. Right. So, in terms of in the world of motor racing, you get these things before the race, they're like these number board things, so to speak. And it intrigued me a few weeks when I was watching the Mon Series event at Sepang, and they had this sort of not too fancy looking 1 minute remaining number board, which looks a little bit worn and has had a tired life as a number board. And I saw, comparing it to what in a similar, like, same organized, like the ACO organized the ELMS and the Asian Le Mans series, and I was just thinking, what was the European Le Mans series one that they used, and comparing the two, I mean, I don't know what, like, I don't know how much it costs to make a custom number board, but yeah, clearly, there seems to be a little bit of a difference.
Just a bit. That's a well-used
That's character.
1 minute sign. Adds character.
Yeah, exactly. It's had it. The one in the Asian Le Mans series has had a long life, it seems. I think we'll end this podcast here. I'll do the usual thing. Do either of you have any thoughts on anything racing wise, or just anything in general before we say au revoir to the incredible audience that we have, or do you just want me to record the outro?
All good from my end.
I take it from that we're recording the outro.
Verstappen F. Verstappen F. Down.
No.
Okay, see you, everybody.
Yes, yeah. I was gonna say oh no, Lombo's audio just it's for some reason
just cut out.
It's gone to mute as soon as that. Yeah, it's what a shame. Sorry everyone. Yeah, we've got some really big technical issues now. Yeah, we're just gonna have to end. Thank you very much for listening, and share your thoughts on the tier list or just any racing related stuff. I guess enjoy the rest of your year, and most importantly, have a great 2026 and be responsible, be kind to each other. Enjoy the rest of your day, enjoy the rest of your year, and have a great next year. Ta-ra, everyone. Goodbye.